It's an extremely complex project. And it's a very complex project given its size, because it has everything. Everything.
These are brand new trams. We can't afford to make any mistakes.
There are a lot of things that we have to deal with. Do what you can, please. Please.
What's that more then?
We are keeping the iconic feel of the existing Peak Tram.
As I say, it's like a beautiful yacht. I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous.
That is what our customers, our passengers will see. That is just spectacular.
It's a very long history. It went back to, in fact, around about 1885 when a certain gentleman called Finlay Smith made an application to government for a number of tram lines, actually, not only Peak Tram. He wanted to get guests from Central up to his hotel, the Peak Hotel, and he started building in those early years between 85 and 88.
And over the years, it's been used by many people for tourism, for local transportation, and it played an important role. But increasingly in recent years, the most important usage was for tourism. However, with the increase in demand and tourism over the years, the capacity was simply not enough. It got to a stage where long queues were forming on Garden Road, and it was no longer a good experience for the passengers coming to the Peak Tram. We therefore saw an opportunity to expand the capacity of the Peak Tram, and at the same time to enhance the experience of people riding on the Peak Tram. And hence, we came up with the idea of this project, which had the effect of increasing the tram cars from 120 passengers per car to 210 passengers per car. And at the same time, by moving the station to the more upper location, we were able to create much better queuing areas so that passengers queuing for the Peak Tram would have a much better queuing experience.
The scope basically is that we're replacing almost everything. We can't make them any wider and we can't make them any taller because of the infrastructure of the bridges that we go under. So we can only make them 70% longer, and we couldn't physically get the trams into the existing station. So it was an absolute necessity to move uphill to a straight track section. And that necessitates a change in a lot of the infrastructure. We're putting new rails on. The haulage rope needs to get bigger. And of course, because we're moving more passengers and a bigger tram car, the existing haulage equipment needs to be entirely replaced. And significant improvements have been made in the last 30 years in control systems, so we're putting in an entirely new control system.
We didn't want to shut the tram down for any longer than absolutely had to. And so we've elected to split it into two much smaller portions by setting up a temporary platform that we can operate in between.
I'd just like to propose a toast to an important time in history. After 131 years, this will be the last journey for members of the public. Okay, this is the last time. That's it, you've passed the point of no return.
你好啊，我係喺1994年咧加入山頂纜車，成為呢度嘅一份子。其實有25年啦。今日我能夠有機會見證到中環花園道山頂纜車站完成咗佢嘅歷史任務。其實心情都有啲激動嘅。但係咧，我哋今晚最大嘅意義就係話，其實由依家開始，我哋山頂纜車發展計劃將會進入一個新里程。我相信我哋所有嘅同事都會好期待。謝謝大家，乾杯！乾杯！
It is a unique experience that sticks in the mind, and we have to be very respectful of that. because when we deliver, when we finish, it needs to retain that sense of wonder, that enjoyment, so that our customers are similarly delighted just to be on the thing and enjoy that ride.
The trams are being manufactured in Switzerland, and again, a completely separate process at this time. And our visit to Switzerland is very much to see the progress of what's happening there.
So this is our steel construction workshop. At the moment, we are manufacturing your haulage drum.
The heavy engineering part is done by a company called Garaventa.
On this project, we are keeping the iconic feel of the existing Peak Tram in combination with new technology and with latest state-of-the-art equipment, safety requirements as per today's standard.
Here we got an overview plan of your haulage drum. It will weigh in total 80 tons, including the frame.
This whole thing is 80 tons?
Yeah. This is the biggest haulage drum we ever manufactured, and the design is that we can split it, that it fits into our containers.
Okay, and all of these parts we're going to see in the manufacturing shop when we get downstairs. Okay, I see.
Is there a spare mast so I can see it?
Fray is the electrical engineering part of this process, and that will control the haulage drum, the electric motors, the gears, and all of the drive systems.
First, before that, it's a normal car, and then it starts up to build air condition, special lights.
We made Simon's life a nightmare. Have we made life more difficult?
A little bit.
And the rope is the fundamental part of the tram. The rope has been made by a company called Fatzer, again in Switzerland. Each rope is about 1.5 kilometers long. So we have sort of 3+ kilometers of incredibly heavy steel cable rope. CWA is the coach manufacturer that makes the actual car, the pretty parts of the tram, if you like. Part of the process of this design is mocking up sections, important sections of the tram is something that we really focus on.
But we also wanted to make really a better place also for the operator to work, which meant that we studied the ergonomics of the uphill operation and the downhill operation, both of which are very different. The way floor is made is separate extrusions, which when they slot together, they make this really cool waving floor.
This is to compensate the differences in inclination of this very special track, and this is something very unique. There is only one funicular in the world with this floor, and this is the Peak Tram.
We also have a ventilation system which not only consists of a regular ventilation system, but also it's fed by an external cold air system.
We have came up with a device that can connect and disconnect when the tram arrives. And every time when the tram arrives, the timing of connection and disconnection is perfect. I believe this is one of the kind that has been done in Hong Kong or maybe even worldwide.
You remember when we first saw this thing, we went, I think it's like a beautiful yacht. I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous. And you imagine this thing snaking 33 meters, okay, we're going to get pegs, but all the way along, it's incredible.
No, the image is okay for me. It seems to be working. As project director, my job is to plan, is to look at risk management, is to look ahead, is to try and foresee absolutely everything, look at what if. We do an awful lot of risk management and future gazing and thinking about what's going to happen. And then COVID. Nobody could have foreseen a global pandemic and what it would do to everything, not just our project.
Or several pictures.
It is. That's why I marked it down as, do we think we can live with it?
This is not on the list yet, but we should think about it.
How can I coordinate the design and the details and the installations in the way that we expect it? And for our Swiss manufacturers, how can they ensure that we, the clients, are happy with the product? Do they have to still build in their various states of lockdown? and their supply chains are getting affected, and it's very difficult.
Full-scale, full-speed manufacturing process now here, and all of the parts will come together from all of the different companies. The tram will be then shrink-wrapped and put on a barge and sent down to the port in Rotterdam. Bring the new trams and put them on the track, test them, make them operate. So we believe that we've got it down and the planning should work.
In parallel here in Hong Kong, we're trying to build the infrastructure and the buildings so that they are both ready at a certain point when we call a second suspension.
When we announced the retirement of the 5th generation tram car, everybody was so excited. Of course, at the same time, they were sad to say goodbye to an old friend, a collective memory and a memorable icon that a lot of Hong Kong people will miss.
That's the one that's going. That's the one that's going, Philip.
When we lift up the lower part and they use the chain blocks to release the tram and slowly move out. After that, we lift up and then that one goes up again.
Right, okay.
Stay with it again, yeah. So this is basically the most important stage that we're at now, is to try and get both halves of this tram off the bridge.
Yeah, 4 o'clock, that's not bad. We're right on schedule. Should be able to get it knocked down and get the road open at 5 o'clock. So, and it looks like it's all going to be finished on time. So, very happy.
So we've been incredibly busy putting all these moving parts together, and very slowly it's all coming together. And at the same time, in the beautiful Byron Bay hinterland, our art piece designer, Lindy Lee, is designing and crafting this most amazing piece of artwork.
This is one of the most interesting projects that I've done for a very, very long time. So it's been exciting to create the form. It's been exciting to use new materials, like I'm using bronze. This will be the first time that I've actually used bronze for such a tall structure. That's a structure that's almost 3 stories high. This work will be an incredible, what I'm hoping, is a great beacon for Hong Kong and the Peak Tram. I've pulled in inspiration both from the Peak Tram because of its historical nature, but also the experience of, going from something that's very cosmopolitan, very human-centred, into this space, which is this great vista. That journey of being carried is marvellous. And, that's the spirit that I really want to, imbue the work with.
God, that is slippery. Don't go there. Yeah, that's very slippery. You okay with the camera? So a lot of these concrete structures, we don't really know why they're here.
Yes.
And they must have been made, I guess, in the late 1800s as well. We'd make sure that they don't get dug up or damaged or anything.
There are a lot of things that we have to deal with. We have land issues, we have declared monuments, we have trees that we don't necessarily want, that we're not necessarily geared up to be able to manage, but they sit on the land that we've been granted under the lease and now we're responsible for them.
Control they had. And you just find all the way along here, if you look hard enough, there's still remnants of some of the old gardens from some of the skyscrapers were originally old houses. So I say that's definitely from an old garden.
To paraphrase one of our architects who says when she is training her juniors she uses this project as an example because it has everything. Everything.
The Peak Tram is operated by a license granted by the Hong Kong government with renewal intervals which have been either at 10 years or 20 years. The government takes a great interest in the Peak Tram and really wants to develop the best possible asset for the tourism of Hong Kong. Therefore, when our operating license had reached its termination, we had discussions with government as to how best to extend. Government were also very keen on our project to expand the capacity, and hence we had an arrangement which we agreed with the government that would enable both the operating license to be extended, but also for the Peak Tram to be expanded at the same time.
We had to update the rest of the regulatory framework, working closely with government to make sure that we took the latest European standards and updates and were able to apply them to update that framework. Hong Kong builds some fantastic infrastructure and buildings, etc., but there is only one Peak Tram, and its uniqueness drives that need.
The whole thing has taken a long time to all of us head in the same direction, and so that's been very complicated.
In a nutshell, we don't have enough people on it. We're working really hard to get a contractor to add more resource. How can you get your people to stay beyond 5:15 of an evening?
I'm going to try to put more at the daytime, but we're overtime.
But 5:15, you know, is overtime really start that early? Come on. We're missing opportunity. If there's daylight, we should be working. Do what you can, please. Please. It's typical of contractors. They try to do everything as possibly as late as possible. It's a resourcing issue. They don't want to spend money in case they don't get it back, etc. Contracting's a difficult game.
There are only two companies in the world that can build funicular railways. The company that we've used, Garaventa and CWA and Frey, is a company that we've worked with for many decades. The experience they had with working in Hong Kong on very, very difficult circumstances. The only people who can do it are people who've got huge experience.
So the point is, these guys are absolute specialists. We're at 26 degrees, the steepest part of the track, and there's no way this can get any steeper. They can't do this function. So this is a very, very specialist sort of work.
Unlike other rails, the rails on the Peak Tram are continuous, and what they're actually doing is welding together the 12-metre sections via a process of what's called thermic welding. They set up a little fire brick crucible, and then they set fire to it, and then molten metal fills the gap between the two 12-metre sections of rail.
I mean, it's a dangerous job anyway, but when you're 26 degrees, it's bonkers. Very scary. How many?
100.
How many?
How many?
How many? 300. That's what I thought. 50. Okay, so it takes 54 minutes to do one.
I think
it's grunt work. It's damned hard, and it's time consuming. And it sort of, I think, gives an idea of, when we talk about having a new tram, we think of this beautiful tram and it's pretty and we've had a lovely time designing it and it gets popped on the tracks, but you miss all this bit. And before this, all the civil works, all the track strengthening, this concrete's been dug up, some of these sleepers have been changed to get to the point when we put the nice bits on, we put the new tram on and the haulage room goes in. You never see all that, and I think it's so important to realise it's why it's taken us so long to do this. There's a huge amount of work.
But it's nice to work here.
Yeah.
With the panorama and everything.
It's
something special for us.
Yeah, good.
Good.
Now this is much scarier than last time, because these are brand new trams. And the other ones, to be honest, if they got a bit damaged, didn't really matter. They were already battered from their service life. So this, we can't afford to make any any mistakes. Got to lift it cleanly, got to make sure there's nothing it bangs into. And also, this one's 33 meters long, and the other one was 17 meters, so huge difference in lift, as you can probably see by the scale of the crane as well, and the positioning of the crane. So this is really important to us. It's not quite there.
That is a momentous occasion. We have new tram cars on the track.
It's amazing.
It's been a long time coming. After many months of fabrication and shipping, we've just installed the artwork at the main entrance, which is the focal point and the centre place for the central terminus.
We're definitely not going to look directly north or directly east of Breakfast. I wonder, just a second, let me... That way. Can we get that just piece off or not? Is that not possible? Very difficult. Let's get that power on. I presume you can see that on camera. It's picking up the orange street light and the white lights around us in sort of arc shapes. It's beautiful. It's amazing.
That's a major milestone for us in terms of the project. It's been painful in many ways. We've had delays because of COVID and delays because of logistics and various other things, but this is a milestone. This gives everybody, I think, a really important indication that we're coming to the end.
I think seeing the two tram cars on the tracks in the pyjamas, as they were called, it was quite an achievement. But it also acted as a push, as a catalyst for everybody to say, hey guys, cars are here. We need to get this finished. But what we then have to do is assemble all the haulage equipment, communications, and then we go into an intense period of testing and commissioning to ensure that it is safe and sound for public operation.
Wow. Look around us, it's stunning. Makes us remember that we're in an amazing city.
One of the most obvious changes is the colour of the tram. You know, somebody said to me, "Oh, why did you choose green?" And I said, "Well, we've gone back to the traditional colours." And they said, "Oh, when will you make it burgundy again?" And I said, "Probably 30 years." And they said, "Oh, I thought you were going to change it in a couple of years." And I said, No. This is at least going to be here for 30 years.
Good morning, everybody. Today is a very proud day for the Peak Tram and for Hong Kong and Shanghai hotels. It's been a long, tough project, but I believe what we have achieved in the end is something we'll all be very proud of, and that Hong Kong and internationally will be well recognized, and we'll be proud of that.
Tram has been the inspiration for Hong Kong's ability to climb new heights in the face of adversity. May I now invite you all to experience a journey from tradition to innovation. Thank you all very much for coming. Thank you.
of the things we are most excited about is the transformation of the new lower terminus entertainment areas. Visitors are seeing the history of Hong Kong and the Peak Tram, as well as the flora and fauna of the Peak through 5 engaging zones.
And what we've been able to build is a more comfortable, spacious and entertaining waiting area for the passengers at the central terminus. The opening day was fantastic. There was a lot of excitement. To see people's delight when they go over the brow of the hill on those downhill facing seats and get that view of Hong Kong is just fantastic.
Riding with the public was emotional. People are having tremendous fun. Everybody was smiling and they were all clapping and cheering. You know, sometimes you're on a plane and it lands and everybody cheers and claps. It was like that.
When they rediscovered the Peak Tram and the joy and the delight they got of just travelling on the Peak Tram, I think that's the legacy, that we have delivered something that people thoroughly enjoy.
We started off the project obviously planning greater capacity. Did we achieve that? Absolutely. But I don't think we ever realized it's a whole new experience, starting with the sculpture, with all of the entertainment, and the tram, and the peak itself, and then coming back down. So to see at the end of that journey, the smiles on people's faces was way more than I expected.
Let's not forget it is a small project, but its span is immense in terms of countries, technologies, and all the different specialisms that are necessary. That's what makes it so complex.
A whole new generation will grow up with this new tram. It's a link, it's a lifeblood, it's more than just a tram. It stands for Hong Kong tradition, it stands for Hong Kong technology. It's making a statement that Hong Kong is still here, Hong Kong is still open, and so that's something that is very special for Hong Kong.